Well, welcome, Kiki. I'm so happy that you came. So happy to meet you. And I love the work you do. So we would love to hear a little bit more of how you started this great company and what do you do to help your clients. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm super excited to be here. So I am basically in the business of making your life easier, right? So we alleviate the stress that comes with having to prep a home for sale. We work directly with agents, with sellers. We can work on the buyer side, but it is primarily sellers. And the way that we came about doing this is we wanted to offer a service where we could basically cover anything cosmetic the client needed, right? Nothing that requires permits, where we can get in, get out, have the property listed faster so that the client can sell the property for, faster and for more money is the goal. Because as we know, things are sitting a little bit longer these days. There's a lot of inventory. Now, unfortunately, when I got into real estate, me and my husband, we flipped homes back in the day. We've done long-term property rental, short-term property rental. And there was a huge lack of just reliable services, right? The people, the contractors, the individuals that we dealt with along the way, we really had to run through some walls with people that were not the best in character, not the best in work, made promises that they couldn't keep, would charge one thing and then another, which, as you know, as an investor, it can affect the entire project, right? So we learned, to say a long story short, we learned the hard way. We unfortunately did not have great experiences even with close friends that were in the industry, and we knew that there had to be a better way. We came from a sales background always. We did this on the side. We have a portfolio of 7 properties, long-term property rentals now. So we were able to make those mistakes because we still had a flow of money coming in, both me and my husband. And not everyone is as fortunate, right? So after those hiccups, after all of that happening, and us being in our fintech, which is finance at the time, I got pregnant. And while I was pregnant, we decided, hey, we want to build something for ourselves. Like, this is a side thing, but we're really passionate about real estate. We know that's where we want to end up. We enjoy the process of flipping homes when it's done properly. And so we decided to basically venture out and look for a business that maybe was out there that we didn't know about, and we couldn't find anything in the South Florida territory. So we went further, and we found a franchise, which was called HOMEstretch, and we fell in love. We did look at, I would say, hundreds of franchises to see where we wanted to end up. We loved the ownership, we loved the support, and we loved the idea. So they had come up with a solution where it's just a one-stop shop for specifically realtors to come to when they need help listing a property, right? And that was by providing the cosmetic solutions. So flooring, landscaping, painting, junk removal, whatever it is that they needed to prep the property for sale. And they were offering a pay-at-close option, which I thought was fantastic. Individuals don't, depending on their situation, right? Death, downsizing, divorce, or maybe, growing their family, relocation, whatever it may be, they don't have a ton of money to spend, or they don't want to spend when they're out the door. So that was massive for us. We loved just the all-around solution that they had created. There was a huge need for it, as we know, in our market, and we jumped on board immediately. After I gave birth, we purchased the franchise, we started educating ourselves, we built amazing teams because we wanted to do it the right way. We wanted the people coming into the home to represent you, to represent your agents properly, and that's how it was born. So we have been with the South Florida territory for a little under a year, and it has been flourishing. Month over month, we were starting to create these beautiful relationships with agents. Word of mouth is going along. The clients absolutely love it. They're dealing with people that are professionals, right? So that's where we are right now. And through the grapevine, we've got an opportunity to meet. So I can't wait to connect with your agents and be able to offer the same solution. But I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Well, I'm so glad that our common partner, Alexandra, got us in touch. And it was through the BNI network, which is so amazing. She just said that she had these people that wanted to be in a podcast, and we are always looking for something unique to offer our clients, to try to give them exposure to everything that's out there, because sometimes, like you said, a lot of people don't know that service exists.
Yeah.
Or they they don't even know how to ask. We just had a client that it took them like 4 months to do 2 things in the house. I'm like, please hire someone because we're never going to list it. And it was just, painting and putting new fixtures. That was it. But it took them months.
Imagine. So like you're a businesswoman, you're a family woman, you have children. Like people are very busy. And when they're already dealing with a stressful situation, it's very hard for them to allocate the time. And even if they do have the time, they don't know where to go. So they're calling maybe 4 or 5 different vendors if the agent is leaving that on the client, whenever they have the time to coordinate that, and then they're paying for it out of pocket. Sometimes they don't have the money right away.
Exactly.
So that's where we wanted to come in. We want to be able to give your clients their time back to make this, just streamline the process, relieve them of the stress of having to do that, as well as the agent, because you guys are not project managers, right? You are good at selling homes and facilitating those relationships. What we want to do is just make sure that home is represented to the best of its ability, right? And giving the option to pay at close, as well as managing the project, as well as you not having to call 4 or 5 different vendors and wait for a response and coordinate the times for them to be there, and have a client, if they need it, sign 4 or 5 different contracts. It muddies the waters and it doesn't make it a very enjoyable experience, which is what we want to change, right? I want you to be able to call, I have this property, it needs these things, call Kiki at HOMEstretch, and she's going to handle everything. And the next time I see the property is when we're taking pictures, to get it listed, right? That whole part of it, you can just sell more properties, right?
Right. No, and you have a project manager. This person that I'm telling you, he just picked and chose and got people from all over. And some didn't show up until 2 weeks later. So, the project started falling behind. That's why it took months.
Yeah.
And maybe they say, oh, no, because I want to save money. Well, you're spending more money because you're paying a mortgage for 4 more months. You're paying taxes for 4 more months instead of, being able to enjoy and move when you wanted to move.
Yeah.
And, and also right now, people have so much equity in their homes, but they don't really have maybe all that cash flow besides their home.
Right.
Like this person that I'm telling you that I want to introduce you to, she's a dear old lady, but her house now is worth $1 million, but she bought it, I don't know, for $95,000 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So for her, that's all the money she has, her house, her Social Security. So now that she has to sell it, she doesn't have money to pay for repairs, and the house does need a lot of repairs. So that is absolutely ideal.
Yeah,
ideal.
That's where it ties into, right? This specific situation, that can be very overwhelming, right? I have this huge asset. It's the biggest asset that I own. I know that I have the equity, but I've had it for some time. I've lived in it for some time. This is my style. It's not a neutralized property, which can pose issues, right, when you're going to sell it. Buyers need to be able to go in and envision themselves in there. And if it's very cluttered or it has a specific style or you have pets, that is a threshold that is difficult for them to cross, especially because there's so much out there, even if it is $1 million home, right? So we've been able to go in with an individual like that, ease their mind, walk them through the process. We work very, very quickly, so they're not having to wait a ton of time. When you call us, we're there within 24 hours or same day, right, if the client needs us there. And they're getting a proposal. You're actually looped in on the proposal as well, so you know exactly what's going on throughout the entire process within 24 hours. And we can start a project between 2 to 3 days, business days, right? So we're starting very quickly. We know that time is important. Buyers, especially aggressive buyers, right, that are excited and eager to buy a property, they're not waiting. So if you don't present the property well to begin with, that's going to cause an issue. It's going to sit a lot longer, etc. So we always recommend call us first, right? Call us first. We'll be there within a day. You'll get a proposal within a day. We'll start between 2 to 3 days, and we finish very quickly, which is the other issue. When you're coordinating 4 or 5 different projects with people, this should go in a certain order. And if you're not doing that, it causes issues. It further delays it, etc. Whereas with us, we're finishing a project, even if it's a 3,000 square foot home, in less than 2 weeks. And that's them doing everything: flooring, painting, landscaping, junk removal, doing the pictures, getting it relisted. No matter what, we're keeping within that time frame because we know time is of the essence, right? So that would be a perfect example of how we can go in, help, get it done, increase the equity versus dropping the price of the property, right, which also happens often. And then everyone wins. You get, more commission. The client gets to sell their property and they don't have to deal with the headache. And obviously we get paid for the services that we offer, which are fantastic. So.
No, and what I like also, I see that, I think you might like me, that you don't just go and, okay, what what floor has, or what floor has to be, you kind of take them, because I think it's very, with people like that, I work a lot with empty nesters, with older
Right.
owners, and they're attached, like I moved like that, they're attached to the home because they raise their kids here. So you can't just go, okay, what floor I need to do, or what wall I need to paint. They would be even more intimidated. So having one person handle it, like to say, okay, we need to clear all this, I'm going to do this. So you do it all, and she doesn't have to be handling a painter or a floor person or the landscaper. So that also alleviates their stress.
It's education and it's direction, right? You have to have a heart. Like you said, this is their baby. It's their home. It's all of their memories tied into it. We don't know why they're selling the property, but usually, there's a lot of emotion involved. So we've really been able to do two things, right? Thread the needle and making sure that we're not trying to upcharge here and there. We're not trying to do a complete renovation. We just want the property to get listing ready. So we're really threading the needle on making sure that their money goes a long way, right? Doing these cosmetic enhancements that are going to give them an actual return on their investment, because it is an investment. I mean, we have properties that we've put, they'll do maybe $10,000 full scope of work, and they're selling the property for $90,000 more than what they initially tried to list it for, or it was listed for months and it wasn't getting any traction. We come in, they do the investment, they end up selling it for more than it was listed for within, in some cases, a day. Like many of our projects, we put it up a day, a week, it's under contract for asking, right? Versus having to provide a ton of credits, which happens when they walk in, they see project. They're just racking up numbers in their mind, right? And we do try to make it go full circle. So from inception, when you call us, presentation, proposal, start the work, complete the work, we actually offer the photos for the listing complimentary. We do that for every project that we're involved in. So that's another thing that you don't have to worry about, you don't have to schedule, you don't have to pay for. And now we also offer staging, which can also be rolled into the pay at close. So for properties that are vacant, right, that's a huge benefit. It completely changes it. I believe, I have to get the statistics on it, but staged properties, there's a
like 30%
much larger
more.
percent of them selling for more money in that area. So it all ties in. Whatever we can do to service you, whatever it is that's going to make y'all look like a rock star and get that property sold faster and make your client happy, that is what we're here to do.
That is awesome. And also being able to roll it up at closing. We just had also a client that we were debating, back and forth, and he didn't want to put it up. But I said, okay, I'll pay for it until it closes, but it's better than.
And that happens a lot too. Like you as the agent are putting in your money up front, in the hopes to get this to move along, and you don't need to, right? Nor does the client. Again, they're already dealing with enough. So as far as the pay at close options work, I would like to speak a little bit about that, because a lot of people tend to have questions on it. So the solutions that we provide, we have developed a relationship with a company called Notable, and they have opened up a branch.
What's the name?
Notable.
Okay.
So Notable is a financial institution, and they have actually opened up a branch for HOMEstretch because we do so much volume, where they provide the solution where they are able to get financing with no hard credit check. It does not appear as a trade line on their credit profile. So even if they do take the funds, the debt does not come up on their credit profile. It doesn't affect their debt to income ratio. It does not affect their ability to buy or rent elsewhere. They have 12 months with no payments. So they're not paying anything up front
12
while
months?
you're going through the process. You have 12 months to sell the property, which once we are touching a property, it's selling much faster than it's selling within a month or two tops, right? Some within a week, or day. So yes, you do have that benefit. Now there is interest associated with that loan, but it is a fully unsecured personal loan. So they're not leveraging the asset. They don't have to tie that loan to their home, which is a big concern for people. We don't want them to have to do that. That's a big pill to swallow. And the interest is fair. You're not talking about credit card rates. It's not a daily compounding interest. It is a simple fixed interest loan. And on average, it depends on what they qualify for, but on average, we're seeing about 1% per month is what it comes out to. So if you get a property and you sell it in 2 months, they're only paying 2% on the money that they borrowed, right? So the project plus that 2%.
That's what I was going to ask. They can pay it whenever, even though it's a 12-month.
No prepayment penalties. Traditionally, when they sell the property, they just turn around and pay them off. And look, there's also the question of, well, what if they decide, oh, I love this home, I want to stay. And now what happens, right, with the loan? Well, at the 12-month marker, that just turns into a traditional 5 to 10 year loan, really comfortable monthly payments. So we're, fortunately, HOMEstretch does get paid out already. So we've covered, we have our bases covered, and there's nothing to be concerned about if it does turn into that. Of course, we want to sell the property. That's why we're doing it. But that's what happens if that situation does occur. Right.
That's wonderful, because another company that did that I knew about, they force you to lower the price of the property at a certain point, just to make sure that it sells.
No,
so they
you,
do.
You all are the experts in that area. We are not trying to step into the agent's shoes. You're very good at what we do. We stay in our lane, and we're not going to require that you lower the price of the property. That's entirely up to you. You have full control there. Right?
And even though you roll the staging here with the home repairs, what about if they just want staging? How's that done?
So it's something that we can consider and definitely talk to our team about. We're super open to finding solutions for the agents. So, and the reason I say this is because full transparency for the financing, there's a small fee associated. It's about $500. That would, of course, need to be covered. If we're doing the work, right, and then we're including the staging, we don't make money off the staging. That's something that we have a partner, right, that we're bringing on. They charge what they charge. We just have it as an added benefit, and we are willing to roll that into our pay at close as a benefit for you and your client. So it would have to make sense for us to do just staging, but we can make it work, right?
Good. So tell us. I always love to hear horror stories about, because I have many also. So what do you like? What have you seen that is like, oh my God, and you pulled it off?
Yeah, we've seen it all. We have dealt with hoarders, right? We've dealt with individuals, and I don't want to say horror story, but very personalized,
challenging.
Yeah, very very personalized homes. People that were artists. There was murals on the wall. They absolutely loved those murals and were very much attached to it. But that's not going to sell, right? If you have murals that are specific to what you like on walls, people are going to walk in and it's kind of a sticker shock. So we did have to really walk the client through going through their items. As you know, sometimes when it's a hoarder situation, there's a lot of emotion attached to that. And in this specific situation, the person's partner had passed away. So it was very tender. And we took our time. We did not rush the process. We're here for you every step of the way. We really tried to mainstream that process and keep it moving was the biggest thing without getting the client overwhelmed. So it's just about adding a tremendous amount of support, right? About being empathetic and understanding their situation, not rushing them through it. So we just had to take a little bit more time. And then once that was done, then we had to talk through the painting of the property, right? And really getting them to understand and showing them the comps in the area. The biggest thing is education. If you can show a client, we are doing this for your best interest. We have the same goal. If we do this, this can be the outcome, right? You can get the money that you've put into this property, the equity that you've built in this property. You can get what you should actually be getting instead of having an investor come in and completely undercut you, right? It's like a mini flip, but you get to keep the equity versus having an investor do it. Right. So that was a situation that we dealt with, was the hoarding and the murals. And it's just about patience and education.
Yeah. It's hard when they, not artists, but also people that have their house ton of memorabilia or pictures of their family. So it's hard to tell them, you have to take that down.
Right.
And I had a client was that. I said, you have to take them down. Yeah. I'll do it. And she never did. And the house didn't sell because everybody got there and they were just looking at everybody's pictures. Oh, how cute this baby, this, that.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
You have to, hey, that's beautiful. I'm sure your children love it, that you love it. And you don't have to toss it, right? We can just compartmentalize. We can help you put it in storage. You get to keep all the things that are super important to you. And then we can get this ready for someone to come in and hopefully be able to build those memories with their family, right? And their children. And it's about how you speak to them as well. Yeah, that's very much important.
See, that's so key. Yeah. That's so important. Yeah. And make the next person feel at home. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot about you, and I'm excited to talk to your team, but you've been in the industry for quite some time.
Yes. Well, I'm a computer engineer, but I started doing real estate when they were very little because I traveled so much for work. I didn't want to, when they were babies, I would carry them with my nanny all over the United States. But then when they went to school, I'm like, I can't keep doing that. Right. So I didn't want to, miss their childhood. We lived in Connecticut, and I remember going in the train to Manhattan with my tears in my eyes, like, oh, and I left them with the best nanny in the world. We still have contact with her because she was incredible, but I wanted me to be there. So I think this career is perfect for that because it has a very flexible schedule. I mean, I would show houses when I could, and if I can't, and since you work so much on the weekends, they would stay with their dad on the weekend, and I could just work more. So I've done it. I started in 2005 when we moved down here, and I got my company since 2007 because I went to Venezuela and Colombia, and we just made relationships with real estate agencies there. And what the managers there told me is like, it's better if you work on your own, so you can make decisions and you can work with other agencies, because some of the big companies, well, they have very strict rules about that. So I did that, and it's been great since then. I've worked a lot with international buyers, so that for them it's amazing too, because they buy sometimes properties and they need all that. So now what I was doing, I was doing picking people from here and there, and then, like I said, sometimes they wouldn't do the job they should, and then my clients blame me. Like, because if you recommend someone, then
of course, it's
so that's tough. I'd rather hand it over to you, and they'll blame you. No, I'm kidding.
So that is a huge part of it. It's and ultimately we're trying to elevate your reputation as well,
of course.
And we know that leads to us being able to just create a longer lasting business relationship. Being investors, we work with investors as well. We have quite a few under our belt, and international investors, it's something that we're trying to grow as well, because they're not here. So ultimately, again, they're trusting you, right? Yes, I'm sure they can go back and forth to see what projects they want to get involved with, but ultimately they're leaving that in your hands. So if you can have a team behind you where you can say, hey, not only can I find you a good property that's priced well, they can do the work for this amount, you could potentially sell it for this amount, then you have the full team for them, right? So that drives home. It makes it a lot easier for them to work with you and trust you. And alleviate the stress of them having to handle the project as well. We are constant with updates. So when an investor, or really anyone, is working with us, our project manager, which is my husband, Jose, he handles the project management side of it. They are getting images every day, if not every other day, of what we've completed for that day. They're constantly in the loop of what's going on. They're not kept in the dark as far as how the project is progressing. Do we make mistakes? Sometimes, that's completely normal, but it's about how we handle it. Open line of communication, and we will find a solution for that, right? No matter what, we're going to get it resolved so that we can keep it moving. And I think that is the biggest thing, right, when it's dealing with investors.
And you speak Spanish, of course, right?
So I, unfortunately, am not fluent enough to handle the whole project, but yes, my husband is born in Cuba. He came when he was 9. Good. We've got our big, beautiful Cuban family, and I'm actually Cuban as well, but unfortunately, I'm not completely fluent or confident enough to handle the logistics.
No, but if Jose can, because
but I understand it all. But when it comes to a Spanish speaker, he would handle that because he's fantastic and he's fluent in Spanish.
Good, and he's a project manager, so he's the one that's going to give him all the ideas, probably.
Yeah.
What we do, actually, I just sent one today, right now. We send about twice a week projects we have a group chat that has 140 investors.
Okay.
And we send 2 projects a week telling them about it. So, and I send them the numbers, like the ROI. Would be wonderful. I could, when I have a property that it's like a tear down, maybe if I can send it to you and you can give me an estimate of what it would take. If you don't have, they won't hold you to it, but you give it to me, I won't even put your name. But if we add this to the purchase price, then this would be your ROI.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right?
Okay.
Is they need to make sure it makes sense for them.
Right.
And if they just know yes, they can look into the amount, but this is your market, right? So you understand this market more than anyone. It is something that we help with as well. By the way, on the seller side, a second voice does help, right? If you can tell them, look, these are the comps in the area, but look how these properties look, right? And we can do this, but you can also do this, but we're happy to do the full circle where we're telling them this is what the property as is could potentially sell for. This is what we recommend as far as the work that you should be doing and how much that costs. And once that's done, this is what you could potentially resell for. But yes, we can do that as well as a full package. So
That's awesome.
Just know what you need.
Well, but right now the fix and flip, it's a little harder because of the price of the homes. But if you do find a good deal,
It's
then
got to make sense. You
yes.
know? And we don't intend on anyone doing work that doesn't make sense. We're not trying to come in and do work on a property. Like, so, unfortunately, in some areas, if work's done, there's still a cap on what that property can sell for, depending on the area. Right. So if the work does not justify them being able to sell their property and make money, or if it's sitting for a long time, at the very least to sell the property so they don't have to continue to pay for the mortgage, then we are not going to recommend that we work together. We need it to make sense on both ends.
Right. And since you've worked with flips, you know, and you work in this for a long time, you know what materials to use, and because of course you want it to be nice, but you don't want to go over the top and put all these fancy things that you won't get a return on your investment.
Exactly. Now we do use very good quality products. Fortunately for us, we have some major partnerships. So we are partnered with Shaw Flooring and Sherwin-Williams. I'm sure you're familiar with Sherwin.
Yeah.
Shaw Flooring is the equivalent. Like, Sherwin is the biggest painting distributor manufacturer in the United States. Shaw is the biggest distributor of flooring in the United States.
S-H-A?
S-H-A-W, right? So we have a partnership with both of them, and because of that, we get our products very economically.
That's great.
And it's a trickle-down effect. We get good pricing, therefore we can offer good pricing, right? Because of the volume that we do as well. So when you're dealing with a traditional general contractor, right, that does need permits, etc., they can be quite a bit overpriced for someone that's just trying to prep their home for sale. Right. And also oftentimes what we're doing doesn't require permits. So we can, again, get in, get out, even if someone's flipping a property, as long as there's not a huge structural issue, plumbing, which, that's a side note. Me and my husband do own a roofing company, and we do own a GC company, but HOMEstretch specifically is just cosmetics. So, and we're priced accordingly to make sure that it makes sense for sellers, right? If that helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we keep it where it's going to make sense. The numbers don't make sense, then we get it, right?
Of course.
Gonna work out.
And you said, for example, I don't know, let's say a 1,500 square foot home that you need to do. You do kitchen? No.
Yep, we do it all.
So one kitchen and two bathrooms. Not at the price, but how long would it take?
It's less than a week. So it depends on what they're doing, right? So let's talk more detailed. First and foremost, when I say we do everything, we can literally do everything. So we can, from refacing a kitchen cabinet, right, where we have to replace the doors, sand down, paint, etc. We can just paint the kitchen cabinets. We can paint the countertop. We can replace the countertops. Obviously, we can do the flooring in the bathrooms. We can replace the flooring, the vanities, the light fixtures, the mirrors, or we can just paint the vanity and vanity countertop. We can paint any type of tile. So, for example, we had a property where, and you probably have seen this, the entire bathroom was pink. The walls were pink, the towel was painted pink, the tub was pink, the toilet was pink.
From the 70s, probably.
Exactly. Everything was pink. When we went in, we did the floor and replaced the vanity light fixture mirror, obviously painted the walls, and then we reglazed, right? It's a type of epoxy paint that we use for tubs and for tile. Okay. We just reglazed it white. So it looked, and we'll put a reference, I hope, so you can see.
Yes.
But it looks like a brand new bathroom, updated, modern, clean, fresh, something that someone can come in and live. Because when you have a client, buyer, right, they don't know what things cost. So they come in and see a bathroom like that, and they're like, this is going to be a $10,000 job.
Right.
I'm not paying the $10,000, or I'm going to rock these people in credits, right? And that's just not the case. We can come in for a few $1,000s and renovate the entire bathroom, and it's a brand new bathroom, and that's increasing the value of the property tenfold, right? So instead of dropping price, offering credits, having people pass up the property because they think it's a huge project, they now are super excited about it and willing to offer more money, So it works out. So,
and I imagine, you offer the pay at close, but also they can pay you if they...
Of course, yeah. They can pay up front if that's something they're more comfortable with, cash, credit, whatever it is that they need. The pay at close is for those who need it, So
what are the things that you see that most sellers ask for, or that you see that the houses need the most?
So
around here.
The biggest things that we say, because it's 90% of what a buyer is going to see, is flooring and paint, right? Those have to be up to par. If the flooring and paint is decent, but the kitchens and bathrooms are super outdated, then we'll focus on that. If the whole property needs it, we make our recommendations. Ultimately, we leave it up to the agent and the client to decide what they move forward with. Our proposals are super easy to read, and we're going to provide all the options. So let's say we go into a property and a client says, hey, I just want to paint. But we go in and see the floor is super outdated. We know what that means. We know it results in credits are being passed up. We will gently recommend it. Hey, I would consider doing the flooring. Again, you're not paying anything up front. This can elevate the property quite a bit. It can get it sold faster. I'm going to put it in the proposal for you. You don't have to move forward with it, but it is there as an option. So when they go into a proposal, they're going to be able to just check the boxes of the items that they want, and it'll give them a total for those items they selected at the bottom. They're going to be able to build that project out how they want to. Right? So that's how it would work.
And I don't know if that's too specific, but like in the flooring, so you don't have to take it off and put it. Do you put it like on top of the one that they have?
So it depends on the situation. If they have tile, traditionally what we're working with primarily right now is LVP. It's luxury vinyl plank. It's scratch-proof, waterproof, soundproof, whatever you need. And it's beautiful. It looks like wood planks. It comes in different shades. You can do like gray. You can do like a caramel color. You can do a darker wood color. That we can pretty much put over anything. So we can put that over tile. We can put that over existing laminate. So that's not a problem. That we can put over. If they have tile and they are wanting to replace with tile, then we do need to demo. You can't put tile on tile. So then we're having to lift up the tile. If there's rug, we are going to be lifting the rug to put the laminate or the tile. So that would be just contingent on what they have right now. We have to decide if we're going to have to do demo depending on the product they currently have versus what we're going to be using.
And you mentioned that you don't do the permit part, but what about, do you work in condos at all? Because in the condo association, they ask you for a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, they do. Condos can be a pain in the butt.
Well, tell me about it. I know. We're right there with you.
Yes, again, we are solution-based. We do not give up easily. So keep in mind that we do have a GC company on the side, and we do have a roofing company on the side. So if we need to pull a permit, like it's absolutely necessary, we have the resources to do that, right? That can also be rolled into the pay at close, right? So it just depends on the situation. Another part of it too is there are things that come up at the closing table, as you know, during inspection. So when we've already handled the project and you get a punch list of items, whether it's an HOA or whatever the case may be, we can also handle that and add that as a change order and still include that in the pay at close. So you're not scrambling to find someone. And that's really when time is of the essence, right? So you want to make sure that you're done by closing date, by inspection, etc. So we offer that service as well. And sometimes in that situation, they do need to replace roof tiles, right? Or they do need to. Unfortunately, we have the resources to do that with our other companies. So it goes full circle.
Some people are afraid because sometimes, if they don't know, they're like, no, I'd rather do it myself. So what are the common misconceptions that you hear, objections that clients say about the type of work you do?
Yeah, so the common misconceptions on that and pay at close options. First and foremost, they're very concerned about initially what it's going to cost them. They always think it's going to cost more than it does. They are concerned about, hey, what if I do this and the property doesn't sell? Or what if I do this and it doesn't sell for more money? And that is where the education piece comes into. You can't just say, promise people rainbows and butterflies and not give them anything to back it. So that is also where you come in as an agent, right? Educate the client, show them the comps in the area, follow the money, right? If you see that a property that's similar square footage, similar bedroom, similar bath, both don't have a pool, they're in the same vicinity, it was within the last 6 months sold for a certain amount of money, show them that. This is what this property looked like. This is what it sold for. This is what this home has the potential to do. But if you keep it like this, it's not going to happen. And you have to have a candid conversation with your clients. And I know that with agents, that's a sensitive area, right? Because they obviously want the listing and they want to kill them with kindness in the beginning. And unfortunately, clients in some cases think their property is worth more than it is. And that's where
some cases, no.
It's most of the time. So you really have to humbly bring them back down to earth and just say, this is what we're actually dealing with. You can have an agent that's going to promise you the moon. I'm the agent that's going to get this property sold. And I have a team behind me to do it. and this is how we're going to do it. I have a plan, right? And this is what they've done before, right? So I think it's just laying it all out for them, being honest with them, but showing them, not just giving them the problems. You need to do this, this, and this. This is how we're going to do this, this, and this. This is how we're going to get you to the finish line. So that's how you cross that threshold.
Right. I think especially now that, I mean, now it's kind of, well, it depends on the area, but most areas are buyer's market right now. So even if it doesn't maybe increase the price, at least your house will show and sell.
Yeah, because you can't sell something if people are not walking through the door.
Exactly.
And that's the other reason why we've actually brought in the photos, because one, we want to have access, right, to those photos. We want to be able to show our work as well, but we want the property represented at the best of its ability. So if we can get our team, which is fantastic, to come in and take proper photos, really showcase the property after we've done what we've done with it, that all ties into the success of selling that property. I can actually talk about specific case studies.
Right.
That's another thing that's important to show your client too, which we're happy to send to you, is case studies. So actually showing, hey, I have a property in the Homestead area. This property sat on the market for 3 to 4 months. The only offer that they gave for this property was, I believe, $10,000 below asking with $26,000 in credits. Okay, it was a beautiful home. It was, I think it was like a 5.4. It had a pool that they had just built in the back. Gorgeous property. Yes, some of the rooms were different colors because they had children. Amazing family, adopted kids. They just had to relocate, and they didn't want to. They had just bought the property less than a year prior. They put a pool in. There's not a ton of equity. It sucks, right? So it didn't need a ton of work. It just needed to be painted. They had kids. They had pets. It's normal, little fingers going across the halls and the walls. It was a little dirty, the walls, and it needed a deep cleaning. And we went in and we literally just painted the first floor. We pressure washed the back pool area, and I think we changed a couple of the light fixtures. And it cost the client $3,700 total to do this. The day that we finished, there was a showing at 4 p.m. They moved forward full asking price, no credits.
Wow.
So that is the power. When I say a little goes a long way, it absolutely does. The person that walked into that home, and they were even there when we were wrapping up our work, right? But they were super excited about it. They see, hey, all right, they put updates in the home. It's got a beautiful backyard. It's different than going in and seeing really dirty walls, dust everywhere, clutter. It makes a world of difference.
Of course.
And what is that? That's 10x. Because if they had minus 10,000 on asking plus 26K in credits, is $36,000 they would have lost versus the offer that they received.
Right. And it's sold. Maybe it
Exactly.
doesn't matter, even the price.
And they weren't living here, so they were covering the mortgage for that property. Again, it's a new property. It's not like the mortgage was super low.
Right.
Recently bought a year ago. So that's just bleeding money, right? Instead of quick refresh, get it sold, everyone's happy. So it works. It absolutely works. And you can show your clients that.
Yeah, I mean, that's key. Yeah. But I think I love it. I love it. I think that's going to be super helpful. And it's so easy. You make it easy for us and for the client. So it's a no-brainer. Well, you mentioned that yours is a family business. Mine is also a family business. I'm so lucky my son started working with me 2 years ago, and he completely revolutionized my firm, which is good. I mean, at the beginning, I was like, what are you doing? But it's working because you definitely need good blood and new blood once in a while. Yeah. So tell me about your experience with working with your husband and now with your little baby.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a dream that we've always had. Me and Jose, which is my husband, we've always worked together. We met in hospitality. We worked at Carnival Cruise Lines for quite a few years as vacation planners, so we've done that. Once we left there, we got into some investments as far as the flipping, which was a struggle bus, and we learned the hard way. And then we got back into corporate America 9 to 5 with the fintech. I was in higher education for a bit, but we have always worked at the same company.
Oh, wow.
That being said, we had never owned our own business. Like, yes, we had our portfolio, but us working together hand in hand on our own baby and business, we had never done that. And the beautiful part about me and my husband is, while we're both extremely driven people, we have different strengths. So he is an absolute machine. He will find a way to get things done no matter what it takes. Like, he'll run through walls. I am the level-headed admin who can also do the sales and have those conversations. So it's become this beautiful blend of me being able to talk to the agents and represent ourselves on like podcasts and presentations, where he handles,
The back end.
The back end, the projects, the teams that he's bringing on. But fortunately, he can also do what I do, and he does it very well. So when I do need the help, he can jump in and do a presentation fantastic, or build a relationship with the client incredible. I think that having a sales background and being in all of these different sectors, including the financing, because that's a big part of what we do here, it's just made for the perfect storm when it comes to this specific niche that we're in. Fortunately, we're also both very passionate about real estate and always have been. So I think it's very, very challenging, especially because, as I mentioned, I do have a 1-year-old baby girl. So we're also a new family, married, 2 years prior, although we've been together for 10 years. So it's very exciting. It can be extremely overwhelming. It's a lot of work. We get pulled in a lot of different directions, but it's extremely satisfying. And I think it's the happiest that both of us have ever been, even though it's the most demanding that life has ever asked of us. So
that's awesome. Yeah. I know a few people that have like that too, that I did this Goldman Sachs course that was amazing. And I met 2 more women that work with their husbands forever. I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah. And sometimes you want to run over them with the car and then reverse, yes. But we always find a solution, and it's fun. It's so much fun. And when you're building something for yourself, it's completely different than, even if it's just a 9-to-5 versus the 24/7, as you know, that it is owning your own business. It's ours.
No, and when you talk about it, because you're talking about it at home all day. Yeah, but we both love it.
Yeah.
Because if you were talking about your work at home and your husband did something else, it's like he doesn't know.
Yeah, I agree.
So that is very cool.
I love what you said earlier too, of like really being able to, because we did this because of our daughter. Like this came. We had our strengths, we had all that. We knew we wanted to be in the home preparation service. I think ultimately we wanted to be in real estate no matter what. That was our goal. The family is what led us to this, because we wanted to be able to control the narrative, right, of how our life went. So I love that you said that, and it affirms that what I'm doing, or what we made as a decision, is the right one. Seeing successful, women as yourself.
Yeah, but you doubt it. I doubt it. I'm like, oh my God, why did I leave my steady job? But then I remember why I did. Yes. Yeah. And like, oh my God, could be here. I see like other people that graduated with me, and they're like CEOs of companies. I'm like, but no, that time spent with your kids and this, yours is the same. You meet so many people that I stay friends with most of my clients. I have one that we haven't even closed yet, and she calls me every day just to talk. She even did my hair, because she's a hairdresser, so I went to her house last Sunday. She did my hair. Yes,
that's actually a part of it that I am really enjoying as well, because when you work at a certain company, there's like an actual company, a 9-to-5, you become very close to your colleagues, but everyone is not built the same. Everyone is not built like you and I. Everyone's not built for a business, right? And I think that can dampen your goals, and you are on that rabbit wheel, right? Even if you are the CEO, or if you're higher up in the company, and I think that you give way more than what you should be receiving when it comes to that. Of course. So I do strongly believe that when you start to put yourself in these circles, and you continue to surround yourself with individuals like yourself, the sky's the limit. Like I get super excited anytime I meet someone that is ahead in life, and they've been able to accomplish the things, for example, that you've been able to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it's very exciting.
It's great. And meeting people like you, like Alexandra, everybody is. And like I went to a lunch. I'm in the Pancras Business Association, and we go to a lunch every month. And then I met like the CEO of Lexus, and I'm like, I had lunch with him. I bought my house there. I bought my car with you, and this happened, and this and this and that. I'm like, oh, thanks for letting me know. So yeah,
awesome.
You meet different people all the time. I'm with BNI. Well, I'm thankful I met Alexandra.
Alex.
And you meet,
Alex is like my North Star. Ever since I brought Alex on, I think we talk every single day. She has these ideas that, even as much as I've done and all the things that I've accomplished, that I don't even think about. And I think that's why it's also really important to have people, like-minded people, driven people that have their own vision, and you start to blend those things together. Right. I love Alex.
You never know where the next great idea is going to come from. I know you've done so many things, but when did it click that this was exactly what you wanted to do, and you wanted to do it with the company that you're doing it with?
So I talked about, my husband being the one that's like driven, run through walls. He's a risk taker, right? Where I'm a little bit more logical. We were about to have a baby. We had our 9 to 5. We did extremely well in fintech. It pays very well. The benefits are fantastic. So where I hold a little bit more restraint, he is the one that's like, run it. Like, let's do it no matter what. We'll figure it out along the way. So as we were going through this process, I was very much involved in it where before I wouldn't be. When we would talk about different business ventures, he was more so the one that would take the lead on that. And for this, we knew that we really wanted to get out of the fintech and the 9 to 5, so I wanted to be part of the entire process. And in doing so, my husband has what we call a shiny new object syndrome, right? He falls in love with these ideas. We've tried everything under the sun. We have so many different businesses that we've looked into or done, and not all that are successful, right? Which is natural as you're going through that process. But for this one specifically, we had narrowed it down to 2 different franchises. And as we went down the rabbit hole and really dug in and did the research, we kind of thought outside the box and we're like, hey, instead of calling the franchisee owners that the owners of this franchise are telling us to call, let's just start going down the list and calling ones that are like from different territories that they're not recommending. And in doing that, every single person that we spoke to with HOMEstretch was absolutely in love with this company. And we asked, what were the difficulties? What were the thresholds? Did you leave your business? Like, we have a 1-year-old. We're serious about this. We need to know that this is going to work. Do you see this being a multi-million-dollar business? And every single one of them had absolutely yes. Whereas the other one that we were looking into, the lady picked up the phone and she said, do not do this.
Oh, no.
These people have not been supportive. It ended up being $200,000 more than what I expected. I'm going to have to file for bankruptcy. There's multiple people in this franchise that have to do the same. And unfortunately, that particular franchise, which we really liked at the time, the owner of that franchise was... this is what they did. They did digital marketing and they knew how to present it online as this beautiful, shiny thing, which is why we were drawn to it. But when we really got into it and did the research, it was not what it seemed. So as soon as we had those conversations, like within that week, we're like, this one's done. We're meant to be here. This is exactly what we want. We do ultimately wanted to get back into flips as well. This will tie us back into that. And that's when we knew, having those conversations with those people, that this is 100% something that we were going to do. We made a plan for him to leave the business in May of last year, and I followed suit in December of last year, and it has just blown up since then. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Once we had those conversations around, I would say March, that is when we decided, we're done, and made the plan on when each of us would leave.
And you haven't looked back, and it's been awesome.
Yeah.
That is great. And I think, the more you put into it, that's when you have your own company, the more you work, the more successful you're going to be. Yeah. When you're working for someone, you can work 60 hours a week. You're going to get paid the same thing, and you're going to be just that successful, not more. And with us, if I want to sell more, then I just have to go out more. Yeah. And it's great that you both have your strengths, because that's definitely what makes it also work, because you take care of some things and you're not like stepping on his toes probably.
That's the other thing too, is being able to make sure like you handle these decisions and I handle these, so that we don't bump heads, right? Ultimately, you're going to make the final decision on this part of the business, and I'm going to make the final decision on this, and we trust each other to handle our ends of the agreement. So yeah,
that's awesome. For us, my son loves cold calling and door knocking, and he goes around and meets everybody. Really? He's super social.
That's not the part that people love.
I know. So I am so lucky, because he goes everywhere and everybody loves him. So he's always like bringing me the fish. Like I say, be here, and then I start my part, to do the sales pitch and do everything else, and the cost, going through that sales cycle. But he is very good at that, and what you said, that people start knowing you. Yeah. We send postcards, we send letters, we go to all these associations. So sometimes he knocks on the door, I've seen your postcard. So he already knows. And yesterday somebody called us like, congratulating us on the letters we sent. It's like, well, no, I'm not interested in selling, but I just wanted to tell you that you're doing a good job. So that's good too.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's showing you the fruit of your labor.
Exactly. Sometimes, yeah. And I was even thinking, oh my gosh, should I be doing this every month? It takes, it's a lot of money and effort.
It's like delayed gratification because I, for example, Miami Realtors Association, we talked about this, and I believe we're both part of it.
Yeah.
And I started sponsoring events for it, and it's not cheap. Ultimately, you're doing these things for lead generation, to get in front of the right people, right, to create those relationships. And I did an event, I think it was in January, and for whatever reason, this is the first month that I'm getting leads from the event, but we got a ton of them. So it was like, is it working? Is it working? Is it working as we were doing the events? And then just a bomb dropped of all of these leads. So it is delayed gratification. You just have to keep doing it. You have to know that it is going to go, come back around. And
absolutely,
this month has been astronomical for us. So,
and those vendors I love.
Yeah,
it Rock the Market. I don't know if you went there.
So I'm going to Rock the Market. Are you going this year?
Yeah, I always go. I love it, and I always get those leads from those vendors because they've been vetted by the association, so that it's a really, a good company and trustworthy.
Exactly. I think that's the quality of people that you're working with. It matters. It absolutely matters.
Well, thank you so much. This was super fun, super informative. I know that our followers are going to love it and my clients are going to love it. We're definitely going to have to be working together also in marketing. Like I said, with the project that we send to Latin America, we'll definitely include you because it's a great tool. A great tool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming, and I look forward to working together.
Same. Super excited to work with you. Thank you so much for having me.